Battlefield Hospital, Project Doctor, DevLog05, Part 1, Discussion of Related Game. Our inspiration comes from Papers, Please, a political satirical indie game created by Lucas Pope. The game is set in a fictional communist country, Ostaska, where players take on the role of a border inspector in charge of a border checkpoint. The player must work as a visa officer, examine interest documents within a limited time, making decisions to approve, decline, or arrest. Player may encounter civilians, identity fraudsters, criminals, or terrorists. If players can meet daily objectives, they are money rewards. However, errors lead to heavy penalties. The elements we are incorporated from Papers, Please include its solo tone, moral challenging decisions, and the gameplay mechanics of performing tasks under time pressure. We recognize that the players need to recognize documents, their daily wage requirements, and the pressures faced are all dynamic and increasing. This outstanding game balance makes for compelling gameplay, instantly immersing players in the role of a visa officer and illuminating the importance and dilemmas of the profession. Part 2, Game Development Progress Report. Week 9, UML Exploration, Animated Map Update. In the past week, I have refactored the code, which, while still have a lot of coupling designs, allows the primary entity and component to be separately extracted. During this process, I confirmed that I'm not a genius. My mental capacity is limited, and variable name confusion is a regular occurrence. So I started to use UML to understand all functions and variables to address this issue abstractly. However, as a novice programmer, my C# syntax and computer science knowledge are poor. If Unity can talk, it would likely detect me making junk. Therefore, during coding, I'm often in a state of confusion. However, with the help of ChatGPT, Google, Stack Overflow, and GitHub, I often find the features I need and try them in my code. Although patching together code this way lacks rigorous design and reasoning, at least it worked before I began refactoring. Next come the reckoning. My code was so chaotic that I didn't know what I was writing. So, according to my understanding, I started arranging the program's design on paper. As text alone would be dull, I opted for diagrams and began using UML. During this process, ChatGPT was like a virtual mentor to me. While I'm shy, it never hesitated to answer my question, no matter how basic, and was always patient and detailed. In terms of technical topics, it's easy to verify the validity. In addition, I used a tile map to design a new map, and incorporated new animations and design drawn by Stan into my level. Week 10, Design Update, Function Enhancement, Stronger UML, and Map Update. In this week, I completed the pickup and drop of items function, added an HP value to the patient, and successfully tested it in the UI. Jad previously criticized my new UI as too complex, so I didn't use that design. He suggests that if the UI couldn't update the features within 2 weeks, it should not be displayed, as it would distract the player and be considered a failed design. Oops, I made this mistake in my last project, and old habits die hard. I further strengthened my use of UML, especially by discovering the tool that generates UML automatically. I printed the generated UML on A3 paper, cut it into cards, and handled the code as if I were crafting my paper prototypes. I find out my game design logic is simple, but the current code is incredibly complex. I notice that my brain has limits, and I cannot trust my intuitive design. Within the editor, I cannot see the global relationship diagram and can only observe a limited amount of code logic. Therefore, I decided to focus on the most critical, essential function variable names and relations, and simplify the code using Occam's razor and dry principles. Don't repeat yourself. Thankfully, this method of code review using paper cutouts proved effective. I discovered many areas for optimization. But since I only have a little time to modify and test, I have decided not to add new features, but to focus on perfecting and testing the existing functionality. Part 3. Discussion of next steps. In the following 2 weeks, I will slow programming development and focus on reflecting and iterating on game design. I want to iterate on the previous flowchart to find and correct design errors, making my game design more reasonable and elegant. Also, I will review the past 12 weeks of development, summarize problems I have encountered, and experiments I have gained. Through in-depth reflection and continuous learning, I can make further progress on the path of game development. That's all. Thank you.